Hey there, my friends. Welcome in to this very first inaugural episode of the Subscription Web Design Podcast. Hey, real quick before we dive into the content for this episode, I just wanted to apologize for the audio. I know it's the very first episode. The audio that you're hearing right now is great, but when I initially recorded this, the rest of this podcast, the content, it was really good. It was jiving really well, but it turns out I recorded it all on the wrong mic. I just didn't want to try to recreate it. I felt like you would get so much more value out of the original recording. So I wanted to preserve that for you. So I went ahead and mastered the audio the very best I could, but I just pray that you'll forgive the audio for this first episode. It will sound a lot more like this going forward than that. But I pray that you'll forgive it and you will actually find the content to be so valuable and useful that you'll listen to it anyway. So here is how I quit my job with subscription web design. I am super excited to be bringing you this podcast because for me, it is the culmination of 7+ years, actually over a decade, to be honest, of hard work and determination and honing my craft, not only as a web designer, but also a business owner. And I've become so passionate about helping other people learn the particular path, the skill that taught me exactly what I needed to know in order to become a self-employed, largely location independent web designer, and not only that, but business owner, where I have a team of people working for me and allowing me in my life to have more freedom, more time with my family, more time to grow the business, more time to even work on other businesses if I want to, and get to live out my passion. My name is Steve Schramm. If this is the first time that you are meeting me, then I just want to tell you a little bit about my story, a little bit how I got started in website design and what led me to where I am today, specifically with a focus on how I quit my job using subscription web design. Yes, that's right. I'm talking about subscription web design. I'm talking about instead of charging a client for thousands of dollars upfront or either doing 50% down, 50% later, or anything like that, I'm talking about using subscription services, just like you pay for Netflix, just like you pay for Apple Music, just like you pay for your internet every month. I'm talking about how do you become a subscription web designer? How do you work for people in website design and they are paying you every month after month. It's pretty incredible, and it might sound weird or strange given that you have a service business, but um, it's really not. If you just think about it for a minute, this is exactly how a lot of other businesses operate. A lot of landscapers work like this. A lot of accounting and tax professionals work like this. Your pest control people, a lot of them work like this as well. There is a way to make this not only profitable in your business. Certainly, we want to do it profitably. We don't want to do anything in business that isn't profitable. We can not only make it profitable, but I believe we can also make it lucrative. We can bring stability to your business through a subscription web design model. And that is what this brand new podcast is going to be all about. So let me start back at the beginning. I have always been into music. I've loved music ever since I was a little boy. My family used to take me to bluegrass and Southern gospel concerts, and I was really into that. And I really thought that one day I would get to do that for a living full time. And I don't know, I couldn't sing, I couldn't play an instrument when I was having these thoughts, but I just knew that it was going to happen. And lo and behold, it did. I did get into music a little bit later on in life, taught myself how to play drums, taught myself how to play guitar, taught myself how to play bass, and was fortunate enough to spend quite a few years, around a decade all told, in the professional music industry. I'm actually re-entering the professional music industry from the business standpoint, but we can talk about that some other time. But as a musician, I worked in recording studios and also play live with gospel bands and different singers and performers and artists of all stripes. And one of the things that we did when we worked in the recording studio is we would build a website for the people who were coming to record with us oftentimes if they did not have one. Because here was the deal. We wanted to bring people in to the studio and give them enough product when they left in order to recoup their investment. It was one of the first major business lessons that I ever learned. So, for example, let's say that somebody came to the studio and paid us $1,500 for a 10-song recording. With their $1,500, they also got 100 CDs. And if they sold those 100 CDs at $15 a piece, then they would make back their initial investment of $1,500. They could put that money away and never have to come pay for a recording session again. It was a genius business model that my business mentor, and really he's like a dad to me, Russell Easter, um, came up with. And it's something that I have utilized and thought about and implemented into this business as well. Well, what we would do, because we wanted them to be able to sell these CDs, one of the services that we would also offer is to set up a website for them. And we would do website design, we would do some graphic design, we would do a little bit of copywriting and biography writing and things of that nature as well. And so we would get them set up with this website. And that was my first foray into web design. This started around 2007, 2008, and just went on from there. Well, life goes on, things happen. And, we were charging at this time, like, between 500 to $1,000 for a website. And I think it was actually closer to 500 most of the time. I'm not sure that we ever made it all the way up to 1,000. Um, but as that phase of my life began to transition out and another phase began to transition in, I took on a full-time job working as the courier for a law firm. And basically that just means I would take important documents and things like that to the courthouse, or just make deliveries to places, or I would even maybe get and set up lunches for people, etc. And I've always been a little bit entrepreneurial minded, especially after working in the studio and working full time as a musician. And so the first thing I was thinking was, like, from day one, okay, well, I'm in this job now. This is great. It's supporting my family. I'm grateful for that. But how do I get out of it? Was pretty much from day one, was the thinking. And actually, my boss at the law firm where I was working suggested that, I could start doing, because I transitioned to doing IT work there. And he said, well, I could start doing IT work on the side for people, and use that as a tax write-off to, like, purchase cool equipment and stuff for my business. So I did. I started doing that, but to be honest, I wasn't that passionate about it. I did, like, I set up the business as an Apple consultancy. I wanted to work on Mac computers, since I only got to work on Windows computers at work. And the problem with that was I wasn't passionate about it. As I thought I would be. And to be honest, I wasn't finding people with Mac problems as much as I thought I would. And I've always liked Macs because of how reliable and stable they were. Well, it turns out they're pretty reliable and stable for most people. So they don't end up needing help with it. And so, unfortunately, that kind of dashed my business dreams in that regard. And I thought, well, I still need to do something. There's something I could do on the side to generate extra income for my family, so that maybe one day I could quit my job. And by that time, I had already determined, look, by the time my son's 5 years old, I want to have quit my job. I don't want to be working a job forever. I want to be the boss of my own, my own boss. I want to be in control over my own schedule. I want to be able to go where I want to go and do what I want to do, when I want to do it. And I've always been about that. Money is helpful, money is important, but freedom is something that money can't buy, right? And so if you have freedom over the most valuable asset in your life, which is time, then you really have something. And that's what I wanted. And most of you listening, that's probably what you want too. And maybe you're a full-time web designer right now, maybe you're not. Regardless, I don't know where you're at, but hopefully I'm speaking some things here that resonate with you. So I reached back into my roots at this time. It was probably 2015, late 2015, early 2016, probably. And I thought, well, back in the day, we were doing website design. And I thought, it's been years now, really, since I've done this. I wonder if it's any easier now than it was before, because, before you had to do a lot of custom code stuff, you had to do PHP, you had to know a lot of HTML and CSS. And to be honest, I was a lot more into the content side of things when we were doing it before anyway. So I knew if I needed to get all that stuff down, that there was going to be a pretty huge learning curve. And that's when I discovered, of course, we were already familiar with WordPress, but that's when I discovered the Divi theme by Elegant Themes. And honestly, I have to say, like, this page builder, as it's called, um, really launched my business, because it gave me the confidence and the tools to see that I could actually start doing this. So it started. Um, I downloaded Divi. I paid for a lifetime license at Divi. I checked out lots of resources. I consumed podcasts and read lots of articles, and started piddling around with side projects and things of that nature to get into it. And I felt finally confident enough to the point where I could start offering this to people. But there was a problem. Even though I was confident that I could offer this to people, I was not confident that I could charge people thousands of dollars. Some of the people that I was following, it was like, look, in 2016, if you're not charging at least $3,500 for a website, then you're just undervaluing yourself. A custom WordPress website is worth at least $3,500. And I thought, I don't know that anybody would give me the $500 that we used to charge, let alone the $3,500. And so I reached that again into my inventory of business knowledge. And I thought, well, how can I make this work? How how can I get my feet wet? How can I start offering this to people? What would somebody pay for my services? And that's when it hit back to something that my mentor who owned the recording studio said. He said, what's most important in a business is that you can find people who will pay you month after month or year after year. You want to get the old slang term for it is residual income. Now we call it recurring income most often, but it used to be called residual income. He said, you want to get residual income, income that comes over and over again. That's the kind that you need. Now, after having studied this for years now in business, I know a lot more of the technical terminology and the accounting stuff. Like, for example, what this is called is transaction frequency. So as you have a customer, one of the big questions to help you determine your numbers is, well, how often does any customer shop with me? And if you have a recurring subscription with them, the answer is, well, at least once per month. Okay. If they're on a monthly plan. And so you can ramp up that transaction frequency. So some businesses like AutoZone, for example, my transaction frequency with them is probably something like once per year or once every 2 years. Right. Whereas I have customers where my transaction frequency, which this is basically all of my customers, is every single month. That is very, very powerful because you can start to see how the numbers add up. So here's what I decided to do. I thought surely I could get a business owner to spend $75 per month with me if I built them a website and it was constantly updated, constantly maintained, etc. And so I hung out my shingle and I was in business. Again, this was like early 2016. And I'll be honest, it started out really, really slow. It did. But I engaged online communities. I talked to local business people. I struck deals up. And little by little, over time, my web design business grew. I struck up a white label relationship that is still going strong today. I think it was in 2018 that this deal struck up. And it's been a great partnership, a great relationship. And just over the years, I've increased my service offerings to do more, marketing work, to do higher level website projects. And, long story short, we used to charge $75 a month. And now we have customers that are a lot more than that, many, 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 many times that for different kind of services. And what it has allowed is a business that today is fully supporting my family of six. It's me and my wife and four kids. And they eat a lot. Trust me, they eat a lot and they need diapers. Can I get a witness on that? And really trying to get the last couple potty trained. But you know what? It's it's amazing that we are able to support our family with subscription web design. And I want the same thing for you. And you might be asking, well, look, did you ever get to quit your job? And the answer is yes, I did. Yes, I did. In fact, I wanted to quit my job by the time my son was 5. My son turned 5 on January 11th, 2021. And I quit my job um, a couple days before that. Actually, my last day of work was January 15th, 2021. So I hit that goal. I quit my job, and it's entirely thanks to, well, number one, the Lord. I thank God for this. I give Him the glory for all of it, but also because of this awesome model that my business mentor taught me, and as I studied and studied, I saw more people doing it. The world is getting more used to subscriptions. And I think that there's an incredible opportunity for website designers to take advantage of this and really start offering subscription web design services. So this podcast really is the outgrowth of that. Now, here's what's cool. So a mentor of mine, Josh Hall, um, He's my web design mentor. He's got a web design podcast. I think it's called the Web Design Business Podcast with Josh Hall. You should totally check it out. He's on YouTube and all different places. Here's what's crazy. He interviewed me in April of 2021. So this is just a few months after I quit my job on the subscription web design model. And to be honest, I mean, it was just an interview. I didn't think that much would come from it. And I was wrong. Okay. I was very, very wrong. And praise the Lord. Like people started finding this and people started asking, hey, is there a way to go deeper? Is there more resources? Can I have a few minutes of your time? Can I pay you for mentorship? Do you have a course? I kept getting these questions. And then Josh, my mentor, as we talked about it, he kept, pushing me. He's like, you got to do something. You got to start, something. You got to make something happen. And so I put together a course on getting started with subscription web design. And I also put together a mentorship program that people can join up with and actually learn from me as their business ebbs and flows on a month to month, week to week basis. It's incredible. And we had some early momentum from that. I've got some fantastic people in the course and fantastic people in the mentorship program. And I decided that it's time to really try to bring this to more people and help more people than ever before with this model. So that is the beginning. That is the genesis of the subscription web design podcast. Absolutely. I'm telling you right up front, full disclosure, like the best way to get engaged is to go through my course, getting started with subscription web design. Um, but if you don't choose to do that, or if you don't choose to go deeper and into the mentorship program, which by the way, I think both of these are very, very affordable. You can check out the mentorship program at subscriptionwebdesign.com, or if you go to steveshram.co, that's where you can find out about the course. I think either one is a great place to start. One is a little bit more hand holding, and the other walks you through it from afar, right? Because you don't get the mentorship calls or anything like that. If you go through the course, and I take you through the details step by step. So they're different products, but complementary. And listen, regardless, if you don't do that, that's totally fine. I plan on bringing you this podcast for a long time, simply as a way to help you get started, to help you get going, to help you learn the tidbits of knowledge that I've learned over the years, to interview other people who have been successful with this model. Yes, spoiler alert, it's not just me. I have others. I have success stories of people that I want to bring on the podcast and share with you of what they've been doing in their businesses. It's extremely rewarding, and I really hope that you'll stick along with me for this journey for a very, very long time. Okay, that's going to be all for this episode. And the next one, we're going to talk about the possibilities of subscription web design. What does it make possible, this particular model in your business? And of course, as we go deeper and deeper, we're going to talk about the different facets of this model, how to make it work, how it can work for your business, the pros and cons, whether it's right for you or not, and more and more and more. So I thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode.